Representative Jared Polis is the latest to announce his gubernatorial campaign this week. He is the fifth heavy hitter to join the already very competitive Democratic primary. Other candidates in the race include fellow Congressman Ed Perlmutter, former State Treasurer Kerry Kennedy, State Senator Mike Johnston, and entrepreneur Noel Ginsburg. Patty, I don't think you give up a sweet gig as the congressional representative of CD2, a position as a Democrat you can have for almost as long as you want, unless you think you can win. What do you think of Polis's chances to win the Democratic nomination for governor?
Well, if he does as well as he did at the congressional baseball game last night, he's got a really good chance. He, 4 RBIs, got the winning run coming in. Talk about bringing people together. And in fact, Jared Polis's behavior this week has been really impressive, I think. His announcement on Reddit got a lot more following than we got from Ed Perlmutter when he announced. There seems to be some excitement. He's coming out with certainly more radical views in some ways. He is pushing for states' rights for marijuana. He's talking about marijuana. He's talking about issues that are important in Colorado. So he could have a pretty interesting run. I mean, we haven't heard a lot lately from Kerry Kennedy's campaign, although I know they're cleaning up their mailing list because I think I've gotten 10 emails from them in the last day. Noel Ginsburg is an interesting candidate, but I wish he were using his last name in his campaign. Noel for Colorado just is not ringing a bell with most people right now because there are way too many people who've got, yeah, exactly, Tom Noel, they might think he's running. We've got way too many people with really great credentials and great name recognition, and I'm looking forward to an incredible discussion leading up to the primary and hope the Democrats behave themselves better than the Republicans when Dan Mays was the last man standing.
David, we have literally an entire year to talk about the Democratic primary, so we have plenty of time to pit the different candidates to each other. But what does this announcement do to the battle right now?
By the way, if Noel Ginsburg wins, then his wife would be the first Noel. In a normal year...
Or the first Ginsburg.
Yes. In a normal year... Kerry Kennedy versus Mike Johnston, you'd say, boy, those are two pretty solid, experienced candidates. But then layering on Ed Perlmutter and Jared Polis, what a treasure trove of riches the Democrats have for their choices. Perlmutter is an outstanding campaigner, but campaign skills, nobody better than him, maybe nobody in the state. Mike Kaufman might be equal to that. And like Kaufman, he keeps winning in a district that is competitive by voter registration and where he's really to the left of the politics of that district. And he keeps winning and sometimes making it look easy even when it's not. He's like Joe DiMaggio in that regard. Polis has won statewide in the State Board of Education race. He's also even if not quite as skilled as Perlmutter, a hardworking campaigner, and of course has a lot of money that he can self-fund with. So it's going to be a formidable race all around.
Eric, as you look at, we have been tantalized by the idea of a battle royale primary before, especially with these kinds of headliners, as David mentioned. But when we're talking about this next spring, do you see all of them being still viable candidates?
Possibly. The first decision they're all going to have to make, and let me preface all this by, echoing both what Patty and David have said. I have never seen, there are plenty of other political talents, but I've never seen quite the accumulation of political talent that is signed up for this race right now. It is a treasure trove, to steal David's phrase. It will also be a free-for-all, unlike anything we've seen. These are ambitious and very able people. And as we talked off the air, Dominic, I am not convinced that the field is closed. I continue to hear buzz about Lieutenant Governor Donna Lynn. I think if she's going to make a move, it would likely be in early July at the beginning of the next reporting period. But after this reporting period, I believe the governor is pushing her or nudging her in that direction. So, a field of 5 formidable candidates could stay at 5 or it could become 6, and we shall see soon. Back to the other point, I think the real question is, do they go through the caucus process, or do most of these candidates say the heck with that antiquated process and just petition on? If most of them go through the caucus process, then by definition it will get sorted out because you need 30% to get on and you can't carve the pie that many ways. But I would anticipate that these people are not going to let their political ambitions be subject to an antiquated caucus process, and many of them will petition onto the ballot. Yes, there'll probably be some winnowing, or at least in terms of who is in the finals versus not. But I can make a plausible scenario, a plausible, logical case for the viability of any of these people.
Justine, you've been at many a Colorado Democratic event. How should Colorado Democrats feel about all of these headliners in this big race?
Well, personally, I feel I'm a little scared here. There's a lot of heavy hitters, like everyone said, in this race for the Democratic primary. And considering that the ballot this year will be an open primary, I think that that could be problematic. And it could divide, us in a lot of different ways. Jared Polis entering the race, I think, really would speak to a lot of the more progressive. We were a Bernie state, so you have a lot of these new progressives that are really pushing for a even more liberal agenda. I think Polis fits into a lot of that. But then you have Ed Perlmutter, who's also very popular throughout the state, who would probably do better in the general election, I think, than most candidates would. But you really have a situation here where our party is very divided in the state. There's a lot of people falling on different lines and different opinions. And now that you add the open primary into it, it's a very scary situation for us, and it could be very well mean the loss of the governorship for us.